Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson, Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and welcome to Impact. Each week we bring you information about exciting things that are happening right here in our community, and today will be no different. You know, every year people in the Huntsville-Madison County and the region look forward to a fantastic public arts festival called Panoply of the Arts that has literally been in our community for the last 33 years. That's pretty significant in itself, and each year this event continues to evolve, bringing exciting acts, one of which this year is going to be the Blind Boys of Alabama, in addition to other performers. So we certainly hope that you'll come out and be a part of this event. Among the new things that will be happening this year is a public art display called the Unity Project. We're going to tell you all about what that is today and how you can be a part of that initiative during Panoply this year. Keith Baggett Easton is with us today. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Kenny. Glad to be here.
It is so good to have you as a part of our conversation, and I am so glad to be able to talk to you about the Unity Project. Now, I will say, you brought the Unity Project to me. I had no idea what it was, but I meet people all the time, and they have great ideas, and I'm always looking for ways to partner with people who have cool stuff going on. So talk a little bit about what the Unity Project is and why you thought this was something good that the city of Huntsville might look into being a part of.
Sure. So the Unity Project was created out of North Carolina by a woman named Nancy Belmont last year, actually. And she created this project as a response to negativity and kind of the divisiveness that she was seeing in American politics. So she developed it really to raise consciousness and awareness about the labels that we self-impose and then also the labels that we give to others, and whether those labels help to support our connectedness to our neighbors or whether they limit our connectedness. So as a Huntsville transplant myself, I thought it was part of my responsibility to get to know my neighbors a little bit better, and when I came upon this project, I thought it would be something that Huntsville could use, and I thought it would be a really positive, impactful thing.
Yeah, so tell us, kind of describe what this is, because it really is an experience more than just a public arts display. Right,
yeah, that's very true. It's an interactive installation, really, that Panoply has graciously allowed us into their festival with, and it's really based around a centralized pole, and then there are 32 stakes around this central pole, and each stake represents an identifier, and things like I identify as a parent, or you know, I am a student, or I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. So there are 32 identifiers that will mark this area, and each participant will come in with a colorful piece of yarn and map themselves to these identifiers. And at the end, when you look up, you should be able to see a very densely woven yarn work, really, in this bright pink color. But looking closer, you'll see these individual strands that represent individuals in the Huntsville community.
Yeah, and so these identifiers, as you said, they're 33. Of course, there are many ways that people are alike, and I think many more ways that people are alike than they're different. But the reality is that those common ground, or that common ground that people get to stand on, is sometimes overlooked because of, as the late astronomer Carl Sagan once said, you know, 99% of us have the same exact DNA sequencing. It's just that one small percent that makes us different, and that's a percentage that we can't even see. Yeah. We spend so much time focusing on how we differ on the outside that we sometimes can't see how we are more alike and how we can use that as an asset to our own lives and experiences. Yeah. And so that's really a big part of what this is. It's really to say that there are, you know, dozens, scores of intersections in our lives that we can actually use to, number one, identify common ground among us that we can perhaps learn how to grow, learn how to better understand, learn how to better prepare, learn how to better live and coexist with one another. It just seems to have all of these potentialities connected to the project that makes it, I think, just the perfect vehicle for something like Panoply that brings so many thousands of people together who on any given day might routinely pass one another, not recognize that they really have connections and attachments.
Yes, absolutely. I think this is a great opportunity to open the dialogue into those conversations and ask folks why they believe a certain way, and have these respectful conversations with people whose opinions you may not agree with or necessarily respect, but you still can engage with people who are different from you and may actually have similar views that you do. But truly, it's an exercise in connectivity, like I said, but there's this deeper vulnerability associated with this effort that I think will carry into people empathizing a little bit more and feeling a little bit more deeply rooted in a community that reaches out to the pockets that you may not recognize or interact with on a daily basis.
So where's the intersection of that revelation, the revelation that somebody says, I'm really more alike than somebody else. I'm really in a position where I can understand somebody a little bit more, empathize a little bit more with them, and then we go away from that experience. Where's the intersection of taking that experience and making it something more for the person that may come to Panoply and be a part of the Unity Project?
That's a great question. So the Unity Project is not a standalone event. The idea is that we'll have a series of these Unity programs that Huntsville will hopefully encourage and participate in, so we can continue them.
And they're really activities,
Absolutely,
more so
yes.
than just programs, because a lot of times programs are kind of like something in a box and
That's right.
somebody does it and then it's over, but this is really something that you're trying to make organic.
Absolutely, yeah. And as we learn more, we'll grow, and maybe we'll kind of evolve into something different than we had envisioned, initially. So these interactive events or programs will be dependent upon the interaction from the community, of course, and we can adjust and adapt to accommodate that.
Yeah, and so beyond Panoply, there's a vision for the Unity Project in Huntsville, and that vision is, you've already talked a little bit about that, but just from your own perspective, I know you're working with a group of people, but from your own perspective, what kinds of ways do you think that this could evolve and move around the city, perhaps?
Right, and that's exactly right. So as this first event, this Unity Project will be hosted at Panoply, the next events will not be at Panoply. And the idea and the vision is that they will move around the city and move into pockets of communities that may not be comfortable coming into Panoply or have much interest in coming to downtown. So I would like to have this move in that direction and engage communities that, we're going into communities that we don't normally go into, and kind of allow ourselves the interaction with people that you don't talk to and interact with on a daily basis.
Well, there's a presumption too that because somebody lives in one's community that they know each other.
That's
and
right.
That, of course, is not the right assumption.
That's true.
There's a great book that came out years ago called When America Told the Truth, and it really kind of talked about these hidden revelations about the realities of people's lives. And this was maybe 20 years ago now, but at that time it said 72% of us don't even know our next door neighbor. Mm-hmm. So you think about that for a minute. You go and get a 20, 30-year mortgage and live somewhere, and this is your American dream,
Right.
and you don't even take the time to get to know the person living next to you. That's why we're surprised a lot of times when we find out somebody's living next to us, mm-hmm. when maybe a major news story breaks, and it's like, I had no idea, the lawn was well manicured and the family seemed like they were together. We just don't take the time to engage people. We go to religious places. We don't take the time to get to know people. We go to work every day. We don't get to know people. We see people, we see what they do, but we have very little understanding, and that's part of the reality of our daily living. I imagine the Unity Project, and I'm going to use this word in a very loose kind of way, it kind of forces people to think about the ways that our lives really intersect on a regular basis. In my diversity training, I say I have O positive blood. If I need a transfusion because of an emergency, I'm not going to ask you what your socioeconomic status is, what faith you don't have, whether you are or are not religious. I'm not going to ask you what part of town you came from. I'm not going to ask you what your education level is. I want healthy O positive blood, and I hope you have enough of it in order to save my life.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what the Unity Project represents, this opportunity for people to come together and say, you know what? I spend a lot of time assessing people based on what they look like on the outside. But the truth is, I have no idea about who that person really is. And the reality is, if I knew more about that person, I'd find out that they were more alike than me than different.
Absolutely agree with you. Yeah, there's an engagement piece that the community, I think, is missing, and you know, people get busy and you don't have time to make that connection on a deeper level, but this is an opportunity to do that, and it opens the doors for conversations, and I absolutely agree with you.
And I think they should. I mean, they may not have
Agreed.
time. I know we're all busy, and you know, I'm Mr. Busy, so you know, I start with me. I'm
Yeah.
the busiest as far as I'm concerned. I'm trying to whittle some of that busyness out of my life, but you know, if I don't stop, the saying used to be stop and smell the roses. With everything that's going on around the world today, whether it's an international thing going on, a national thing, or a statewide or local thing, people better start paying attention to what's going on. They better start fine-tuning their lives in such a way that they stop for just a minute and notice things that are going on around them, that they understand that there's a richness in getting to know people. You can't know everybody, obviously, but there's a richness in getting to know people. I think that any one of us that has a friendship that we've taken time to cultivate and nurture, perhaps one that we didn't even plan, you know, it might have been a college roommate or some other kind of friendship that we've established, it came because maybe we had a conversation at lunch one day. It happened because maybe I was a part of a study group. But those are things that people aren't forced to do. Those are things that people are invited to do. And I'm saying that from a perspective of our lives today, if we don't make those things priorities, then by default, we're going to end up being a lot more separated than we ever even imagined. And then one day somebody's going to look around and go, you know, we are separated people. Well, it would not have happened by accident. It will have happened because of our willful lack of concern or priority making. And again, I think that the Unity Project is one way to stimulate that conversation, to draw people together, to cause people to even ask questions.
Yeah, the ambivalence around going through your day-to-day life and kind of the indifference and, well, you know, I didn't need that conversation and I have my tasks at hand. It leads to those siloed communities. And I think that that's something that I think the Unity Project will help to build, is more of a perception anyway, whether it's an internal Huntsville perception or maybe an external perception, that Huntsville is a community that is inclusive. We strive for diversity, we strive for inclusion, and if we are not proactive about those things, they won't happen.
Yeah, I think it's the 21st century, this Unity Project is 21st century, 6 degrees of separation. It's that whole notion that, you know, if you talk to somebody long enough, there's probably something that connects you in some way. And, you know, more times than not, it's a pretty fascinating thing. It could be pretty benign too, but I really found myself in some situations where I'm learning just amazing things about people's lives and again, those intersections of one's life that I think makes life that much richer. And you can walk away from that experience going, wow, I had no idea. Yeah. And that's just an amazing thing that happens in life. You know, if we have so many years to live and we pass through life and it's kind of mundane and we really haven't challenged ourselves to grow beyond where we are, that's a life unfulfilled as far as I'm concerned, because there's whether a person recognizes it or not, there's always so much more that could have been attained. And the Unity Project, of course, as part of Panoply this year, is going to challenge people to be a part of that. So it's going to be a part of Panoply somewhere in the park, we know that, and people are going to be invited to come out and experience this.
That's right. Absolutely. Hopefully, in passing, the other exhibits at Panoply will be pretty self-evident as a prime location in the park.
And it's all ages.
All ages, kid-friendly, absolutely. Bring everyone.
Yeah. And it's colorful, so I mean, it kind of fits right in with the scheme of, I think, what Panoply represents, and this opportunity to be engaging and interactive. I think it's going to be one of the talks of Panoply myself.
I hope so.
Just Panoply has some really great things, of course, the least of which is the great music that they produce. But all of the different performances that will take place, the children's activities, the incredible food and the exhibitors, always really good stuff that happens through Arts Huntsville and the great work that they do and all the great volunteers that are part of that.
Yes.
I also know you need some volunteers for the Unity Project.
Absolutely.
And if people are interested in coming out and be a part of that, would they just walk up and...
So ideally, we've got a pre-registration for the volunteers. We've got unityhuntsville@gmail.com that people are absolutely welcome to reach out to. We've got a Facebook page, Unity Huntsville. We have an Instagram, Unity Huntsville.
Yeah.
So any way that...
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we want them to know, because if we don't tell them, they won't find it. So definitely that event page, I think, is important on Facebook, because people kind of like that as an identifying place to kind of know what's going on. So drop by and see us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is what the message should be, and be a part of it. I know that because of the generosity of Allison Dillon-Jonkin, who's executive director, we are able to do this, and her great support staff. And I know that she's going to be providing some access tickets to be able to come out and see the Unity Project.
Yes.
And we're going to make those available to people too, and we'll let people know how they can get those as well as soon as we find out what the mechanism for that's going to be. But this is really great. And I appreciate, Keith, you bringing this to my office that day, and then that just led to one connection after another. Other people have come on board. We've got Asha Karan, we've got Interfaith Mission Service. Big shout out to Turner Construction for actually sponsoring the event by purchasing all the materials, and can't say enough about them. So this is truly a community project.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Kenny.
All right, we thank you for being a part of our conversation. We hope that you've learned a lot about this event, and we hope that you're coming out to Panoply this year. That's April 28th through the 30th. We need to tell you when it is, right? That's right, April 28th through the 30th in Big Spring Park West. We hope that you'll come out and be a part of not just Panoply, but the Unity Project. That's going to be a major part of Panoply this year. And check it out. I mean, be a part of it. Don't just kind of stand. You want to stand off and look at it, that's fine too, but I dare you to go grab some yarn and figure out how you're connected to other people in this community. One thing Keith and I both guarantee, it's going to be a lot of fun, that's for sure. And there are going to be people around to kind of talk and share and provide opportunities to be able to expand on those connections. We hope that you enjoyed the show today and that you'll like our Facebook page, where you can see a video of the show that you just watched, as well as behind the scenes shots of what happens once the camera stops rolling. For Impact, I'm Kenny Anderson. I hope you have a great day.